Welcome back to the NSHSS Scholars Connect Podcast. I'm your host, Angelica Oliver, and today we're diving into one of the biggest questions on the minds of students and families. How do you prepare for a world that's constantly changing? To help us explore that, we're joined by someone whose experience is truly unmatched. Our guest today is Sheronda Dorsey, a retired CIA C-suite executive, leadership coach, and the former associate director of talent for the CIA. Over her 35-year career, Sheronda has led workforce transformation, developed future leaders, and coached individuals through some of the most complex career decisions imaginable. In this conversation, she shares what students really need to thrive in a rapidly evolving world, from adaptability and self-awareness to resilience, communication, and confidence in moments of uncertainty. Whether you're applying to colleges, exploring internships, thinking about your future career path, or simply unsure of where to start, this episode is full of practical advice and powerful insights to help you stand out and stay future ready. Let's jump in. Hello, Sheronda. How are you doing today?
I am doing really well, and I just want to say thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much for joining us on the NSHSS Scholars Connect podcast. We're very excited for our listeners to be able to hear from you and to get some insight from our conversation today, which is future-proofing yourself. But first, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background.
So I am a first-generation college graduate. I went to the University of Virginia, and then later, after I started working, actually went to the University of Mary Washington, where I got my MBA. However, upon graduating UVA, I began my career with CIA. I had actually planned to stay about 5 years and then go to law school. But what I found at CIA, I found my fit, I found my tribe, as well as my forever work family. And it's more like family rather than work family. Upon joining the agency, I started as an analyst, eventually transitioned into resource management, and then into leadership. As I moved into the leadership space, I found my passion in that I love working with people. I love partnering with others. And I also found that building relationships of trust were critical to success. And those are key values that I had. So I want to highlight a couple key roles that I had. I served as the director of administrative support, so all of our administrative cadre. I also served as the director of recruitment and the deputy and the director of talent is where I ended my career last year upon retirement. Very early in my career, I learned the importance of being a learner and being able to step into a space or a different office. We transitioned every 2 to 3 years and sit back, listen, learn, and develop. And I found that from my very first job as an analyst, the skills, the knowledge, the expertise that I developed, I carried that throughout my career. Even to the point as the director of talent, I was still leaning on lessons learned from that very first assignment. The second thing I want to underscore is the importance of give back. I truly believe that my success was based on my managers and other mentors who took the opportunity to invest in me. They saw that I was a learner. They saw that I had potential, and they took the opportunity to make that investment to help me understand the organizational dynamics, but to also help me be successful in what I wanted in my career. And as a result of their investment in me, I felt compelled to do the same for others because my success was a direct result of those investing in me and seeing that potential. And then finally, the importance of being inclusive. Being inclusive and treating everyone with kindness, regardless of their position, regardless of where they are in the organization, being kind to other individuals because you never know their story. And I have truly learned the importance of people skills and understanding and being there and showing up for people and meeting them where they are is just as important as your technical competence, your leadership skills, and your ability to get the job done. When I finally retired after 35 years, I stepped into my passion space. So I was actually certified as a coach back in 2017, and I did coach while at the CIA. However, I wasn't able to do it full time. And I had to divide my time between running an organization and, coaching and mentoring and so on and so forth. Now, that is what I do on a full time basis. I have a passion and love for people and helping set them up for success. And I am right now living my best life.
I I feel like going back to what you initially said and then going into those essential pillars of what it takes to be successful and being a lifelong learner. It doesn't just
Yes,
stop, like, you have to keep growing. And then for students, whether you're in high school, whether you're in college, you're always learning and still, both of us, still
yes,
learning.
yes. It never ends.
It never
It never
ends.
ends. Absolutely.
So let's go into soft skills like adaptability and creativity. From your perspective, what skills or qualities will continue to matter most as technology evolves?
Absolutely. As I thought about this, I really thought about my position as the director of talent at CIA and the opportunities that I had to really engage with our new hires coming right out of college. And we actually, in the past, have freshmen and interns at all stages of their college career come into the building. So I was just thinking about my engagement with them and the things that I passed on. So, self leadership. And I am a study of leadership. I love the leadership space. And a lot of times when we think about leadership, we think about positional leadership, people being in a certain position, so therefore a leader. However, I am a true believer that we can lead from wherever we are. Leadership, quite simply, is the ability to influence. So, regardless of your station within an organization or what position you're in, you always have the opportunity to lead. And for example, in particular, when we looked at interns, to bring on interns, when I think about even high school students, we really think about when we look at their resume, regardless of what type of job you had, it didn't have to be in corporate America or government. It could actually be working at a local restaurant. It could be being on athletic teams and so on and so forth. How did you influence? How did you take responsibility for your actions, your own goals, and your growth? But how did you also engage with others? Usually you will find that if when you start to interview for different jobs, questions related to that will come up. How did you find that your leadership emerged even when you're doing like a team project, whether in high school or college? So self leadership is extremely important. The other one, and I've kind of touched on it, is teamwork. The ability to work well with others. Especially, I spoke earlier about the importance of inclusion and meeting people where they are. So, again, regardless of whether you're managing a team or you're just a team member, how do you do that? How do you do it well? How do you collaborate and engage with others? Several others that I highlight critical thinking. That is important regardless of what you do in life. I cannot underscore the importance of critical thinking as well as clear communication, the ability to articulate clearly and concisely, and the ability to write well, to share your ideas so that others understand. And then character integrity, being a person of character, being a person of integrity, doing the right thing, regardless of whether someone is watching you or not, and upholding those values wherever you go. And then I think the final thing that I will underscore is the digital acumen. Now, when I say digital acumen, it does not mean being a technologist, but what it truly means is understanding how to use, at a basic level, just how to use a computer, how to use the technology that's prevalent in, all spaces now. And the ability to learn and to adapt when you go into an organization to their different types of programs, applications, and technology.
Yes, that is a big one because no matter where you go, there's a learning curve.
There
Like, no
is.
matter
Yes.
whether that be technology, whether that be people, whether that be the community that you're building within the organization. There's always going to be a learning curve. And I love that you talked about leadership because leadership doesn't often happen in a vacuum. Like it
Right.
happens when you're relating with one another. And when you have that inclusive aspect, when you have all of these different aspects that really make leadership stick.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I just want to underscore something you said that you have to learn when you go into an organization. You have to learn the culture, the people, the technology, their systems, and their processes. So, underscoring what you said earlier about the adaptability and the
Yes.
agility to flex despite the fact that, hey, I came in and now they're changing everything 2 or
Which
3
will
months
happen.
later, that happens now, and with the speed of technology, being flexible enough to embrace it and to just roll with the punches, but also being open to ask those questions, and if you don't understand how something works or how to use a particular system, asking the questions and asking for help. There is nothing wrong with that.
Yes. They call it the water hose of information
Yes,
because you're going in. So that adaptability part is going to be huge. And you
it
just never
is.
know what you're gonna face. And you're gonna bring in your own experiences and your own unique spins on things. So it may be adapting with you, the culture and the work that you're doing, that adaptability. Things change
Things change at a rapid pace
at a
these
rapid
days.
pace. Yes.
Yes, yes.
So going into that student who may be thinking, should I start doing this year to prepare for the future of work? How would you answer?
So I'm going to be honest, it's quite simple. Get the experience. So as you think about strong communication skills, teamwork, self leadership, join clubs that are in your school, volunteer, get a part time job. All of these allow you to build your leadership skills, help you become aware of your leadership skills. And one thing that I want to underscore there is we all have developmental areas. Never ever think that you have arrived or that I now know everything because we all have developmental areas. So that's going back to that continuous learning, which is important. But join clubs, do volunteer work, have a part time job. That gives you the opportunity to grow in your leadership space, to build positive relationships with teachers, mentors, peers, those on the job. So by doing that, again, you learn about yourself as a leader. You're going to be doing teamwork. You'll have the ability to do critical thinking, whether you believe it or not. The critical thinking is required across the board. So don't lose sight of that. But also, it's going to require you to communicate to others. Uh, really focus on, regardless of whether you're a junior in high school, a senior in high school, that there is opportunity for you to actually do things now. um, if you don't have the opportunity to get a part-time job, you can volunteer, you can play sports, you can participate in different clubs, as I mentioned, at school. You can do teamwork with others at school. But it's really important to push beyond our own boundaries and in some case barriers that may be holding us back to do these things now and then continue to do them in college.
Yes, I love that you said that that experience piece is so important because
Yes.
one, it's beyond academics at this point. Like we have so many people who are really skilled in academics, and of course that's what you want, and that's great. But there's a lot of people who are looking for that experience.
Yes.
They want to know that you work well with others, that you're a quick thinker, that you're able to adapt. And all of that is shown through experiences and what you decide to join and what you decide to do beyond just going to class.
And I will underscore, as the former director of recruitment for the agency, we looked at exactly that. So when we got in resumes, we were looking, it's great that you had a 4.0 GPA. However, what did you do besides that? We looked at whether you were involved in extracurricular activities, whether you volunteered, whether you worked, because that all became critical factors. Because understand, Again, being academically sound and having great academics is important, but that gets to your technical competence. But you will not be working in isolation when you start working. You will be working with others. So, again, that teamwork, and that will happen in college as well. And you will be expected to communicate and get along with others during the duration of your career. So there are no jobs that I am aware of where you do everything in isolation, unless you start your own company and you just decide you're going to work by yourself, but you will still have clients.
Yeah.
So always keep that in mind.
Yes, there will always be a time where you're working with others or you have to engage with one another in some aspect.
Yes,
So I think building those skills now where you're going into a space knowing that that will happen and getting
yes,
prepared for it. That's the only way to do it.
absolutely.
So, what excites you the most about the future of work and opportunities for today's students going into the future?
I think what is most exciting, there are so many more career opportunities and career paths, and the opportunity to actually flex and change directions if you so desire. People do it all the time now. The technology is allowing people to learn faster and to actually reach more opportunities. If you think about where we've come just in, and I'll talk to the audience, your short lifetime, think about the ability now to engage people globally just through the internet and have a conversation. So thinking about how the workplace has changed, how it will continually evolve, how you can work on different sides of the world as one team and leverage the skills of each other. So it is an amazing time. Things are moving rapidly, but I am excited for the youth of today because they can shape their careers in ways that never existed before.
Yes, and students live now in a global world where they're exposed to knowledge that, previously we didn't have.
Yes.
Yeah, when we are thinking about what we want to do in the next, you know, 5 to 10 years, like there's
Right.
options to
Absolutely.
explore because you can see them now.
Yes. Yes.
I I
And be
couldn't agree
excited
more.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be excited about it. So now you don't have to work for a global company and go overseas. You can actually work in the United States and work for a global company.
Yeah, and if you wanna be near your family, there's so many factors
Absolutely.
that, people can consider now when they think about working, especially in a global world.
Yes.
So if you could leave our young listeners with one piece of advice to guide them for the next 5 to 10 years of their education, their careers, what would it be?
So I have multiple pieces of advice, but I'll stick with one. And this really gets to my passion around people. Treat others with kindness and respect because representation matters. And your character will take you further than any academic degree or any job title.
Yes. There are times where I remember the people who really were so, so impactful in my life, and it wasn't about, the job. It was more about how they treated me, and that sticks with
Right.
you way longer than someone who, worked on a project together, we didn't really talk. We went about our
Right.
day. Yeah.
Yes, it absolutely does. Because how you treat people, it gives them a sense of value. It gives them a sense of purpose. And as I stated earlier, we never know what someone has gone through or is going through in their life. So sometimes your kind word, your encouragement can help them, and you will never, ever know.
Yeah. And we also all communicate differently.
Yes,
So someone may not be saying what's happening in their life, and that could just be the way that they process things. And I think that communication and that teamwork, it's all about people. It's all about humanity.
it is. It is. And I would always tell my managers at work, it was important for us to meet our officers. So we call them officers at CIE, the people who work for us, to meet them where they were. And every single individual are at different spaces and not necessarily, how competent they are, but just because everyone has so much going on in their lives, just take the time and meet them where they are. If they need 2 conversations for us to sit down and make them successful, then take the time to do that. If they need 6, then take the time to do that. So it gets back to building that trust and taking the opportunity to just communicate and be there for others.
Such great advice. I hope that if you're listening, you have taken notes and you're ready to go into what's next, whether that be a college, whether that be your first internship or an internship, your career. This is all very important to remember going into these spaces. And if you're a parent or educator listening and you just want to support your students, this is great advice to also give your students. Thank you so much, Sheronda, for joining me today. This has been an amazing conversation.
And thank you again for the opportunity and for being an amazing facilitator.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the NSHSS Scholars Connect podcast. And a huge, huge thank you to our guest, Sheronda Dorsey, for sharing her experience and wisdom with our community. If there's one thing to take away from today's conversation, it's this. Preparing for the future of work isn't about having every answer. It's about building the mindset and skills that help you adapt, grow, and lead no matter what comes next. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your student, with a parent, or an educator who would find Sheronda's advice helpful. We release new episodes twice a month, so stay tuned for more conversations designed to help you stand out, step up, and take action. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Today's episode was brought to you by the National Society of High School Scholars. The intro and outro music was produced by NSHSS Student Ambassador Sage Leggett.